That officer is the person that's going to be getting the information from the coach, or actually getting information from some of the witnesses or maybe some of the hostages that might have been released, so we can get this information, because, you know, knowledge is power, and if we know what's going on and we can find out what makes the hostage taker tick, or what we like to call the hook, the thing that's going to bring him back to reality. I can give you an example. We had a situation where we had a gentleman who was on the 12th floor of a high-rise apartment building downtown who was threatening to jump. We talked with him for 8.5 hours, and basically what we found out is that his children, talking about his children, are what brought him back to reality. So for approximately 7 hours we talked about his kids, and we were able to build up a rapport with him, and we were able to bring him off the ledge and bring him into our custody so we could get him some help. And one thing we've got to remember, a lot of times in our situation, jail is not really where the person needs to be. A lot of times the person needs to sit down and talk to someone and get some help, maybe spend a weekend with Riverside Psychiatric. Some of the other positions that we do have what we call a scribe. That's the person who actually keeps all the information down and takes all the information down. He works very closely with the negotiators, primarily the coach and also the intel officer. And more or less we all work together in order to, you know, make sure that we have a good running log of what occurred. And what we do is we use all of our instances for training. And, you know, we basically realize this, you know, no one's perfect. We're not perfect. We might make a mistake, but anytime we do a negotiation, we log all that information down just so that we can better ourselves.
Now, I don't want to go into numbers or anything, because I know you wouldn't talk about that, but what kind of training do you get in order to be a negotiator? In order to be a negotiator, you receive either a 1-week or 2-week course. I was able to go through the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms 2-week course. First week was for basic negotiations. Then the second week was more or less advanced negotiations. We actually attended that course at Camp Perry for 2 weeks back in 1997. I've also been through some state police courses and some FBI courses in regards to being a supervisor and leader and manager of hostage negotiation teams. Some of our newer members have actually been through courses that are put on by a retired New York City police detective, Dominic Mazzino, who's basically known as the godfather of hostage negotiations. It's a 3-level course. You have a level 1, which is more or less basic negotiations. Then you have level 2 and 3, and these all together are 2-week courses, which are more of advanced negotiation knowledge, dealing with various situations, dealing with how to gain intelligence on the situation, and dealing with how to communicate and find that hook and get that person out of crisis. Get them out of crisis. Yes, sir. And that's exactly what it's all about. Now, it has to be nerve-wracking, I would imagine, especially your first time out. Maybe I can get one of you to talk about that, when you know that you have to talk a person down, talk them out of a situation. Who would like to address it?
I've had an instance where I was talking to an individual that was facing some disciplinary action in the Navy, which he believed his whole life was over at that time. My hook was, he was separated from his children, and he was feeling very depressed and wanted to commit suicide. I was able to talk to him in the cold, face to face, for several hours, trying to get him to put down the gun and come on out. My hook was that he had a daughter, and I got her to describe his daughter to me, and he said his daughter was blonde, blue eyes, and I said, don't you want to see your daughter go to the prom, get married, you become a grandfather? And the more and more I talked, the more and more he would come down. It was cold and my voice was cracking and I was nervous, but you have to portray that, give the appearance that you know what you're doing, and also give the appearance that your voice is steady. You are a calming factor in that sea right now. You're his buoy or his lifeboat, and you're not. You have to give that appearance that you're always calm and have it in control. And even though you might not, but in your mind and the outward appearance that you have to have is always there. And the first time I was extremely nervous. And after it's over, you're like, oh.
Yes, but it came out well.
Yes, it came out well. He was able to, in his military career, I don't believe was over, but he was able to get some help, and he was able to see he's hopefully able to see his kids grow up and become a grandfather.
Excellent, excellent. Now, You have 11 members of the team. I know with the Public Information Office, for example, when there's a tactical call out, all of us, all 3 people come out to the scene. Is it the same thing with the crisis negotiation team?
Yes, it is.
All
We all come out. One of the biggest things that we use, besides the 5 actual positions that we have in the actual negotiation platform, is a lot of times we need to research, gather intelligence, speak to people that might know something about the situation. And that's what we actually, we use some of the other members that might not be assigned certain tasks on the negotiation platform. As you can see, we have a lot of people on the negotiations team that do have investigative backgrounds, and that works out very well in order of trying to obtain information for the situation.
Okay. Now, who wants to answer this? Where do you operate? How, out of a bus, truck, planes? How do we do this?
We operate out of the mobile police station, where it's set up that we have a private room in the back of the bus that's set up with our phone system that we can communicate with anyone through either cellular phone or a throw phone, which is basically a phone on a wire that we would have members of the TAC team put into the house, and they can communicate with us back and forth. And then we also operate outside the bus. We'll have individuals, our interviewers, we're going to speak to people in the crowds to find out who lives there. We'll go back to the station. So we have our base operations, which is the mobile police station, but we branch out, because when information is power. So the more information we get out and you receive and get back to the TAC team, it can result in a peaceful solution to the problem.
Okay. And you use a lot of tools in your job.
Yes.
And you've brought something here for us to take a look at. What do we have?
This is what we call our mobile rescue phone, which is a communications device which we can tap into cell phones. And when I say tap into, I don't mean like listening through. We can actually plug it in to a jack and communicate back and forth with a cellular phone, which is digital now, or we can also do, which is if you find any of the old type of hardline phones, we can communicate with them and back and forth. So if an individual doesn't have a cell phone, we have another option which is called our throw phone, and it's just what it is, a throw phone. You would put it in a case and you would be able to throw it into a window or the door, and it would give that person a way of communicating with us and to come to a peaceful solution. And that's what we want, a peaceful solution.
Absolutely.